Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Skyna Gaming and welcome back to yet another Skyrim video. Skyrim's combat is not the best. At the time the game was released, the combat was decent, but over the years it got outdated and, well, basic. I like comparing Skyrim to Witcher 3 because they are both fantasy RPGs, and Witcher 3 combat absolutely destroys Skyrim's combat. I mean, in The Witcher 3, Geralt is almost dancing with the sword, while in Skyrim you're limited to a few moves. So that got me thinking, could you recreate Witcher 3 combat in Skyrim? And needless to say, you can't, but you can get really close to it. So this is a guide on how to somewhat replicate Witcher 3's combat in Skyrim. I recently released a video where I showed you how to make Skyrim look next gen without an AMB. And in this video, I'm showing you how to improve Skyrim's combat. Do you see the trend here? No? Anyway, I'll cut the chase. Basically, I'm making a new series in which I'll be showing you how to improve Skyrim and make it up to par with the new games. Surprisingly, you don't need a lot of mods to replicate the combat. There are no mods for Skyrim that add combat animations from Witcher 3, so the way I'll make Skyrim's combat feel like Witcher 3's is by adding more moving elements onto the screen. The first prominent difference between Skyrim and Witcher combat is that Witcher combat is in third person. Even though you can play Skyrim in third person, most people don't, as first person is more immersive. Clearly, the first step is changing to third person, as already that adds more moving elements. Now, instead of just seeing your sword move, or whatever weapon you're using, you can see the whole body move, which again adds more moving elements on the screen. But the third person camera is still pretty basic. Take a look at Witcher 3's camera. It moves as Geralt moves, adding more movement to the screen. While in Skyrim, it doesn't matter which direction you move or what action you perform, your character will always be in the middle of the screen. That's why the first mod on the list is 3PCO, or Third Person Camera Overhaul. Basically, it does exactly the opposite of what I just said 30 seconds ago. This mod allows your character to shift from the middle of the screen onto other parts. So if you go to the left, your character will appear on the right side of the screen. The camera also pans a little bit depending on what direction you go to. This already adds so many needed moving elements. The combat should feel a little bit more intense, but your character still has a limited amount of actions she can perform. You can use a few different power attacks, block, and really that's about it. To fix that, install the mod TK Dodge. This mod adds a dodge mechanic into the game the player can utilize. You can dodge in any direction, but the problem is that this mechanic is pretty useless because in Skyrim, you can change the direction of your swing last second. So even if you dodge the initial attack, the NPC will simply change direction mid-swing and hit you anyway. That's why a good mod to use with TK Dodge is Mortal Enemies. This mod makes you and the NPCs commit to the attacks that you're making, and that allows TK Dodge to actually be useful. Unfortunately, NPCs in Skyrim are, well, let's just say down. They barely ever use block, never dodge, and only use whatever is in their hands, meaning if they have a healing potion, chances are they will leave it for you to loot. Ultimate Combat 3 changes that. Now your enemies will act like they're actually fighting for their lives. If they have an extra dagger in their inventory, they will dual wield it. They will use block more and use those healing potions. This mod also allows the NPCs to utilize the dodge mechanic, adding even more action into the combat. Now, combat should feel a lot more intense than in the beginning. Again, because of all the new moving elements. You can stop here as the combat already resembles Witcher 3's combat as close as it can. But if you stick around, there are a few other mods I would recommend to make combat seem even smoother and more flamboyant. Starting off with Violin, Killmoves. This mod adds more kill moves into the game, but that's not why I'm telling you about this mod. Violin allows you to perform kill moves at any time during combat, as opposed in vanilla Skyrim, you can only perform a kill move on the last NPC of the fight. This makes combat simply look cooler. The next mod, Wildcat, doesn't affect animations or movement, but rather plays with the numbers and the behind the scenes. It changes the numbers for Skyrim's combat. For example, on Legendary difficulty, you do ×1 damage to your enemies, while your enemies deal ×4 damage towards you. It also has an injury mechanic that affects the NPCs as well as the player. If you get a leg injury, your speed will be reduced and you have a chance of falling to the ground. If you have an arm injury, then you have a chance of dropping your weapon mid-combat. Basically, it makes combat hardcore, and now you might actually have to use your brain and plan out an attack. Maybe kill the archers first, or let your stronger companion run in first. It's no longer running at the first person you see and mindlessly slashing them. The last mod is face-to-face conversations. This mod has nothing to do with combat, it just fits with the new playstyle. Since now everything is in third person, it's a little weird to speak to NPCs, as sometimes your character blocks the NPC and you don't even see them. This mod fixes the problem by zooming in on the NPCs while you're in a conversation with them. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, then click the like button. If you want to see more content, then consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon to get notified every time I upload. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and as always, I'll see you next video.